And welcome back. The Broadway Advocacy Coalition builds the capacity of directly impacted advocates, artists, students, organizations, and communities to use the arts as an integral part of their social change work. Founded in 2016 by members of the Broadway community as a direct response to the nation's pandemic of racism and police brutality, they've since grown into a multidisciplinary organization, uniting artists with legal experts, as well as community leaders to have a lasting impact on policy issues, including criminal justice reform, education equity, and immigration. The BAC recently has announced the first year of its Artivism Fellowship, created to support artists, and the fellowship will provide financial support, mentorship, networking opportunities, and educational workshops. The inaugural year of the fellowship will specifically support Black women, as well as transgender, who are artist activists focused on the issues related to systemic racism and criminal justice reform, using narrative or stories in their work. And joining us now to provide their point of view on this matter, I'm joined by the Broadway Advocacy Coalition's Chief of Staff, Dria Brown, and also Facilitator, Nia Akilah Robinson. Both representatives are also facilitators of the Artivism Workshop, or I should say not workshop, fellowship, and we welcome them now to being here on the Social Justice Forums. Ladies, good to have you.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here.
Thank you. So for somebody who may not be so familiar, why don't you just walk us through a little bit about the work that the Advocacy Coalition does?
Okay, so we're gonna make it short and sweet. The Broadway Advocacy Coalition started 4 years ago this month. Some fabulous members of the Broadway cast shuffle along during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. Thought, how could I use my skills as an artist to make change? And so, from my understanding, there was a lot of dressing room talk and a lot of get-togethers and some Facebook posts, but they knew that they wanted to make a difference and that it just wasn't enough to be on the stage. So they organized the Broadway for Black Lives Matter event, which was their first relationship with Columbia Law School, the start of that relationship. And it included performances from artists like Billy Porter and India Irie, alongside lawyers, advocates, and police officers. They wanted to know what rage and curiosity could lead to, and how, we could empower those in our industry to use our voice and our artistry to enact change. And since that event, we've been finding new ways to combine the power of storytelling with the leadership and experience of those most directly affected by the issues of mass incarceration, systemic racism, educational inequality, and immigration. And we've been creating new ways of collaborating that allows artists like Jesse Williams or Audra McDonald or Lynn Nottage to work side by side with advocates to change these broken systems.
We talk about coming together. You have the artists on one side, you have advocacy on the other side, and they really come together. Nia, talk to us about that partnership and the difference that makes, because usually when we talk about Broadway, activism and being engaged at this level, we haven't really seen before, but now it's becoming more and more the norm.
Yes, for the arts in general, it can be one of the most impactful ways to have activism within it. Within our craft, this is one of the ways that it gets out the most to people who may not see it initially. So especially collaborative, I would say collaborative areas like theater and film become the biggest platforms for seeing, like, okay, so if I see this narrative, how does this make me feel at the end? And I know when I see theater or when I see film myself, I want to walk away with a new idea of how I want to see the world, what I want to see the world. I want to see something new. I want to know something new. So as artists, we know also that maybe we don't know enough about others' experiences, which is where the advocates come in. Advocates, community leaders, those who are directly impacted by the criminal legal system offer up their voices to us, and we try to interpret it and create art from that.
So we talk about Broadway for Black Lives Matter, and That's a huge activist, and that's huge advocacy right there. For people who don't know, talk to us a little bit about Broadway for Black Lives Matter.
This year, we started a virtual event, and the first day was a day of healing. And we asked Black industry members to come in and to share their stories and to really hold the space that was sacred and private so that we could commune and fellowship together and be equipped with tools to help us sustain our mind, our bodies, and our spirits in the world. Some of those tools were in the form of resource bags that the guests left with actionable steps to dismantle the systems that perpetuate racism. The second day was a day of listening, and this was an opportunity where we invited industry guests and stakeholders to listen to the experiences of those most directly affected by systemic racism in the theater industry. On the panel, we had LaShawn's. On that panel, we had Ruben, OGs in the game saying, my experience has been no different than Amber Iman's. And the third day, we had a day of accountability. And that was a free-for-all for everybody to come and to learn and to listen again to these industry giants, both Black and white, tell their stories, offer ways of changing that dominant narrative. And we created a pledge, the accountability pledge, that really allowed you to take a seat back and begin to reimagine an equitable theatrical landscape. And we asked non-Black members of the industry to sign this pledge. And that pledge means that you will take the necessary steps to making this industry equitable and safe for all of us, especially our Black brothers and sisters and siblings. That was our...
Let me jump in here when you talk about taking that pledge, right? You talk about taking a pledge, and those who are not Black and those who are not, from communities of color, to really be an ally, right? And you're asking them to be a part and be an ally. Talk to us about what that was like and what the response was like, because there's some people, as I was sharing a little bit earlier on another platform, that there's some people who will do it in the moment because it's the good thing to do. Right. And then there's other people who have this lasting commitment to say, listen, I just don't like the way that things look. And when I look at Broadway, when I look at theater, and when I look at film, and when I look at television, I can really see these inequities that can be done.
Yeah. And we want a good mix of both. We want the people who, as I like to call it, are engaging in performative activism. And we want the people who are actually going to take the steps to be co-conspirators in change. And the reason why it's so important to have that first group is because art and the amount of pressure that we're going to put on these people is going to be monumental in reshaping the way that they see the world. We're not going to let them forget it, and we're not going to let them forget their responsibility in signing that pledge. And we're also in talk about what our responsibility as an organization in putting out a pledge like that. What are the steps we take? What are the steps we all take? No one is off the hook. And so it really gave the industry a little bit of hope. I saw a lot of Black artists had a lot of hope in looking at a list that was 6,000 people had signed that pledge. And it gave us hope that when we return back to the industry, that things may not be so tight and rigid in Black and brown skin. And I think it is allowing all of these gatekeepers and stakeholders to recognize and have a more keen awareness of what's going on in the world, because you can't pretend you don't know anymore. And I think that was what that pledge reminds us all of.
Yeah. And so, Nia, in my introduction, I talked a little bit about the Artisan Fellowship. For somebody who's not familiar, please walk us through and share with us a little bit about the Artisan Fellowship.
Of course. I would say the Artivism Fellowship has been a long time dream of the organization, and we were able to partner with the Broadway musical Wicked to support the launch of this program. So with this inaugural year of this fellowship, it will support a group of Black, cis, and transgender women over the course of 6 months in the use of their artistry to have an impact on issues related to mass incarceration and systematic racism. We have also an amazing group of women in the nominating committee this year, including Broadway actor and BAC founder Amber Iman, and local advocates like Zakia Ansari of Alliance for Quality Education. So with this fellowship, it was really about gathering us, creating a space that's safe, a space where, you know, the AAVE, African American Vernacular English, is something that's already understood, you know, something we don't have to explain, something that's supposed to, you can even show up on to one of the meetings in a bonnet, because like it's supposed to be that communal space for artists and advocates who may not have had this platform, especially with us Black women who may not have been given the opportunity to have this platform, but are so steeped in the work that, you know, we just wanted to provide those opportunities because we're in this, we're in the work, we're providing social change, and this is one of the ways we just amplify it.
Yeah. And share with me a little bit about the obstacles, right? Because coming out, right, and talking about these things, social change, and really highlighting the work that you guys are doing, it also talks about, you know, well, it speaks to, there's some clear obstacles that are present in our workplace, in our field. Share with us, from your perspective, the obstacles that you see and what you really would like to see happen in the area of social change.
There's something about opportunity, and there's something about having a platform where the way we speak, the way we communicated can be founded in a safe space. I know for myself, you know, when I went to school, I wasn't, you know, I didn't think I was that smart. And when I say that, I mean, you know, I was a writer, I was a playwright, and I am a playwright, but I didn't necessarily conform to the rigidity of, you know, our primary to secondary schooling. So within that, there is sometimes a hesitancy to even sign up for something like this, because we think, oh, I don't know if I can fit into this mold. I don't know if my voice can be heard in the way that I speak, or the way that I communicate, or the way that I advocate for change. And I think with this specifically, what's so special about this is that there is room for anybody. And we have a video where we talk about, on our B-Way at advocacycoalition.org/Artivism Fellowship, we have Dria and I saying, if this is something you didn't even think you would ever apply to, please apply, because there are creative ways that everyone is focused on in their tellings of their specific narratives that they like to share. And there's a unique juice and flow to the way Black women love to communicate. And it's so unique and so different that sometimes it's not given that platform because it's so unique and so different, which is why we've provided this fellowship.
Mm-hmm. So Dria, talk to us a little bit more about the fellowship and what it means in the lives of those people who are actually participating in it, because for many people, it's a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially during this time, right? During a pandemic, I feel like opportunities are few, and we're still trying to navigate how to keep our artistic voices tuned and in shape so that when the world opens back up again, we'll be ready for it. And I think opportunities like this allow you to sharpen the sword, but also I think with sharpening the sword, our fellowship is gonna teach you a lot about the revolution of rest and joy and of taking it easy. Not often do Black women get to take it easy. And so we wanna make sure that, you know, hard work is expected, of course, but there will be so many moments that we are gonna have joy intentionally. This fellowship is a paid opportunity, which is rare. And we believe that we pay anyone who comes on our team. That is a value of ours. It will increase networks on both ends, both on BAC from the wonderful fellows we gather, and for the fellows to be connected to all the wonderful resources and relationships we already have as an organization. It will be a chance to explore and dream. We were curious about passion projects and dream projects and just really wanting to get to know the personalities of our fellows. There will be guest speakers that are curated based on what the fellow needs or what discipline the fellow is creating art in. What else? Workshops and a final presentation at the end. And this will be a time of 6 months where we get to fellowship together as Black women and to unpack and heal and create art and to have an opportunity to be in a room with like-minded individuals and create a really, really safe space to be vulnerable in. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity.
Yeah. We're almost at the end of the segment, but I do want to get the opportunity out there for you guys to be able to share. If somebody wants to get connected, how do they get connected and how do they become a part?
If anyone wants to apply, it is a nationwide opportunity that you can find at BOA-advocacycoalition.org/Artivism Fellowship. And if you can apply, but you want to donate, there's also opportunity on that website to do so. And applications are actually due at the end of the month.
Well, we want to thank you ladies both for joining us here on the Social Justice Forum. We want to make sure that we stay connected to you. And as you guys continue to do stuff, make sure you come on back and let us know what's happening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you. All righty, listen, we got to take a quick break. We do have more shows. Stay with us. We've got more on the Social Justice Forum coming up right after this.